Live from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, this is Iowa Live.
Welcome back to Iowa Live. We are being joined by a great friend of ours. It is attorney Kim Baer, talking about a topic that we really need to address, especially because of what has happened in the world in the past couple of years. First of all, Kim, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lou.
And we were just chatting before we began and asking her what her number one clientele was, and you had a very interesting thing that you said.
Yes, so before COVID, about 50% of what we do or were doing was personal injury and business law.
Okay.
And then the other 50% was some family law, wills, and things like that. Then when COVID hit and no one was driving, we were really worried what's going to happen to the practice. And what happened was people were stuck at home, so divorces skyrocketed.
No.
Yes. So divorce rate went way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about now since COVID has relaxed a
Yeah,
little?
it's starting to even back, because
Okay.
people are out driving again, and
Right.
so.
All right, let's talk about divorce. And so we just mentioned divorce. Let's talk about, what happens in a divorce.
Right. So in Iowa, it's equitable division, and we have no fault divorce. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was the fact that when you get divorced, people automatically assume that what I owned before I got married is going to be mine, and it'll automatically be set off. And I wanted to address that issue because it's not necessarily always true.
Okay, so what is the definition of marital property?
Yes, so marital property, we tell people it's from the day you get married until the day you get divorced. And so it's anything you earned. A lot of times people will say, well, it was my 401k. I worked. They were a stay-at-home, dad or mom. And anything you earned, anything you invested, any appreciation, all of that is marital property. But there's an exception. The court has the right to say, we're going to equitably divide whatever it is that you own. And it very well may include things you owned before you got married.
Okay.
So.
Speaking of division, what about property division?
Yeah, so typically equitable division is going to be 50-50 or real close to it, but a good example is, Lou, let's say you owned a house and you'd been in the house for a while, and then we got married and we were married for 20 years and now we're getting divorced. You probably are going to say, okay, any value I had in that house before we got married is mine. But the judge has the right to say, no, I don't think that's fair. This was a long-term marriage. We're going to go ahead and divide everything up.
Okay, so the court has a lot of things they need to consider then, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the same thing with regard to 401ks and investment accounts. So really, you just need to be aware that family law is rarely clear-cut. It's equitable, and so it really depends on what the judge thinks is fair.
Okay, now we're talking about dividing things up. Now, what about things that are gifted or inherited? How does that come into play? Because that's special too.
That is, and so typically those are set off, and so they are treated kind of as a special thing. So if you inherited money, if you were gifted something, we normally would set that off. But again, the court has equitable jurisdiction. So a good example is, let's say you had a farm you inherited.
Okay.
We're married.
All right.
I'm working on the farm. And so for 20 years we work on the farm, and now we're going to get divorced. The judge might say, that's your only asset. That's our only real marital asset. And even though it was inherited, Kim, helped, work on the farm. So because of that, we're going to divide some or all of it.
Okay. Now, when it comes into having these different things that you're trying to divide up, is that something that a lawyer will suggest to the judge, or does the judge do that by themselves?
No. So when we have a trial, both sides, if they have lawyers, both lawyers are making proposals, putting in evidence, and trying to argue what is fair.
Okay.
So, and again, a premarital agreement, if it's not too late, if you haven't gotten married yet, a premarital agreement can set forth what's going to be protected. And the courts in Iowa will usually follow those premarital agreements. So you just need to know, if you haven't gotten married yet and you're going to inherit some farmland, or you have a business, or you already own a house, maybe you want a premarital agreement. agreement.
Okay, so keep that in mind. That, and
Yes.
it does not mean you don't trust the other person. It's just something that needs to be done, just to protect both parties.
Right. And I tell people all the time, blame the lawyer. Say, hey, my lawyer will kill me. Or my parents brought it up. They love you. They can't wait for you to join the family, but they want to protect what they've worked hard for.
Right. So a lot of questions, a lot of things to consider. But what if we want to sit down and have a conversation about this with you?
Yeah,
do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just give us a call. We're more than happy to meet with people, talk about what the issue is, and see if we can help.
Okay, so you see the phone numbers on the screen there, 279-2000, bearlawoffice.com for more information as well. You can also just drop Kim an email there. You see the email address on the screen as well, and you're very attentive to answering emails.
Yes,
so
yes. My husband's not very happy about that, but I have my email with me at night.
Well, wonderful. Well, great job as always, Kim. We do appreciate your time, and hopefully you'll learn something if you happen to be going through a divorce. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back here tomorrow for another edition of Iowa Live.